When I was a kid, I used to believe that poverty was something that happened to people. It was inevitable. It was something that essentially a person could not help. And that if somebody found themselves on the welfare system, right, they were living in Section 8 housing, they needed government assistance just to get by day to day. They were getting some type of maybe unemployment checks, they were getting EBT, they were on the food stamp. I believe that surely these individuals were just so desperate and they couldn't do anything for themselves. Now, this was when I was a child, and therefore I thought like a child. I did not understand the nuances of life. That first and foremost, it is possible to uplift yourself from poverty, but also, secondly, I didn't understand that there are people who simply finesse the system. I didn't completely grasp that aspect of society yet. I was still the I guess unrealistic optimist. I'm still an optimist to this day. As a matter of fact, probably even more optimistic because it's grounded optimism. I believe that if you take the necessary steps, that you can improve your life drastically, right? You can change the quality of your life in ways that, you once could have never imagined. You can change the entire texture of your life experience. But I was still naive to the fact that there are people who have created a livelihood on the basis of dependence upon somebody else. Grown individuals who are reliant upon big daddy or big mama government to take care of them their entire lives. Now, look, I understand and I'm well aware of the fact that there are those who are in need. There are those who genuinely cannot do for themselves. Maybe they have been, I don't know, rendered incapable of certain tasks. Maybe they are disabled at this point. Genuinely, they're going through things. But what I've come to realize through observation as well as more personal experiences is that an individual who has a level of dignity, of self-esteem and pride in themselves, not pride as far as, puffing out your chest necessarily, thinking you're better than every damn body else. But I'm talking about they take pride in their work, they take pride in their life and what they do and what they produce. That sort of individual would rather work while being quote unquote disabled than not work. My mother has worked in the in-home care space for a long time. And one of her clients I actually got to, spend a little bit of time with. I picked them up from school to like where they were where this young lady lived at. And so I picked her and my mother up, and I got to see this girl who you could tell was clearly mentally disabled, yet she was going to a junior college campus to learn. She had a little job that she picked up at the grocery store. I'm getting emotional for real just thinking about this. And she was in the back of the car just dancing and vibing out. My mom knew obviously all her favorite songs, and she was playing some of those songs. But this young woman was, though she was rendered disabled in a physical as well as mental, mostly mental, she was still willing to work for what she wanted to earn, work for her keep in life. And that right there is so commendable. And that's exactly what also draws the parallel, or I guess the juxtaposition of the opposite, which is those who are willing to milk the system, to take advantage. Those who are not willing to work for what they have, but instead to siphon it from people. And I know it's not just people on the welfare system. There are those who are not, right? There are those who are siphoning money out of people's pockets, oftentimes known as, the Democratic Party. Or I guess, essentially lifelong politicians. A career politician has made a living off of us paying them through our taxpayer dollars. They've never had to create a product or service, or never had to work within an organization that offered a product or service in order to earn their keep. Instead, they receive our money, and hopefully they do a good job. I've essentially come to the place where I am against the welfare system. Now, I'm not saying I'm against welfare. I'm against social programs. I'm against, certain levels of handouts for specific types of people. But instead, the system, which is the institutionalized aspect of it, when it becomes a generational way of life, when you have grandparents who are looking to their grandchildren And instead of seeing an evolution, instead of seeing a maturation, instead of seeing improvement, the grandparents were maybe on food stamps, and now the grandchildren, maybe the grandparents weren't, right? They viewed it as their place to earn their own keep, even in the hardest of times. And then they look down to their grandchildren or their own children, and they have become a perpetuator of the welfare state. And the reason I am opposed to the welfare state is because I know how detrimental it is to those that it purports to be helping. It purports to be saving these people. It purports to be creating a certain livelihood that they otherwise could not get. That to me is so insulting. Like, as an able-minded, able-bodied person, if somebody believed that I needed a handout just to get through life, I'm not talking about I go through a rough patch. I'm not talking about, there's a little moment or a little lapse in my life or whatever it is, maybe a year, a couple of years, a couple of months or whatever it is, where I'm going through some things and I really got to get myself together. But even in those circumstances, to take as much accountability or much personal responsibility as possible is going to be significantly more powerful than getting the handout, than depending upon big daddy government, big mama government, sugar mama, sugar daddy government to give you that little check. It will render you incapable of productivity. Now, some people are narcissistic enough to where they can go through life just taking things or getting things from other people, never earning anything, and they're perfectly fine. There are those in this world who are that way. But I believe that most people feel a lack of fulfillment, a lack of identity, true identity, not these false identity markers. I'm black, I'm, straight, gay, this, that, and the third. I'm talking about having purpose in life, having a mission in your life, something that is worth living for and also dying for. When you don't have that in your life is unfulfilled. When you don't have, whether it's career, family, community, etc., if you don't have those elements that you are adding to, but instead you are just a leech, unless you have a deep-seated narcissism, it is always going to leave you in a place where you feel as if you are inadequate, not enough. You will continue to perpetuate that cycle of insecurity. I guarantee it. I've seen it in so many cases where somebody is being taken care of by a parent and they're not moving forward. They're playing video games all day. They're hanging out. They're going out. They're spending money that's not even theirs. And they think they're getting away with something, but then they find themselves in deep depression. They find themselves in a perpetual stuckness. They feel unfulfilled, no matter how much money somebody may give them. Look at somebody who wins the lottery and essentially has never actually cultivated the mentality of what it takes to not only sustain wealth, but to build wealth, to add upon it. But instead, all they know is to drain resources. That sort of mentality will lead somebody into a worse situation than they even started in. If somebody who has a severe addiction is given more money or more access to resources, all they're going to do is wind down that clock even faster. They're going to unalive themselves at record pace. That's all it will do for them. We think, oh, well, give somebody money and it's going to save them. Money is oftentimes not a money issue. Wealth is not a money issue 9 times out of 10. It is a matter of mentality, a matter of habits, the way in which we act, the way in which we show up in life, our belief systems, etc. That's what money is really about. I just saw myself on the thing. I'm drowning in this hoodie. Shout out to my fiance. She got me this little hoodie situation. Look at that hoodie. That's not a welfare right there. That's a gift of love. That's a gift of love, folks. It wasn't a handout, okay? But all seriousness, the welfare state is bad for everybody involved. Not just the taxpayer or the individual who is contributing to that system, the one who is, putting money into that pool per se. You having your money given to somebody who is able-minded, able-bodied, a grown-ass adult who you're basically having to flip the bill for. It's the same thing in the healthcare space. Oh, well, healthcare should be free. Healthcare. First of all, free healthcare means that you're paying for it. I'm paying for it. If you're a contributor to society, you're going to be paying likely 25% more on your taxes, if not more so. And then on top of that, you're paying for individuals who are not taking care of themselves. Those who would rather eat the chili Fritos than they would, the chicken or the steak or whatever it is. right? The individual who is making terrible decisions and then pushing those consequences onto everybody else, becoming a drain on the system. If you're a creator and you're a producer, you're entrepreneurial in any sort of way, then you are giving to the society. You are adding to the society as opposed to being a drain on the society. You know, there's this weird, whacked out communist mentality of when somebody becomes rich, another has to become poor. That's a communist mentality because, yeah, in communism, that's how it works. Is if one becomes wealthy, then the other must be drained of resources. In a free market, I create something today and there's a market for it. There are those who see promise in my product, then it has the potential to expand the market. If I'm not going from a competitor mentality, but instead a collaborative mentality or creator's mentality, that's a switch right there. I'm not on social media thinking to myself, you know, there's a whole lot of competitors out there. How do I beat my competitor? No, I'm saying, what's my space in the world? Who am I? And then showing up in that way. And there are those who resonate with me and they resonate with, 50, 100 other people. That's perfectly fine. That's a creator's mentality. Competition says I have to crush everybody, I have to, take what's theirs or whatever it is. And that's played out. Like we've outgrown that phase, hopefully for most of us at least, where we can just be focused on what we are here to contribute and build. But the welfare mentality, the welfare state, it works in opposition of that. I've talked about the welfare state a few times now. And, the more that I get to express my actual sentiments about it, the more I get to just talk about how I feel about this thing, the more I come to realize that the people who suffer most are the ones who are actually receiving it. And I know that sounds crazy because, again, we're giving our taxpayer dollars. The social structure is affected by it. But when you are somebody you are a slave to a system, you're a slave to a person, a group of people, a political party, the Democratic plantation, whatever it may be, when you're a slave to an ideology, when you are a slave to a certain way of perceiving the world, and in that, it renders you powerless. It gives the other the power, the authority, though you may be getting something out of it, like ancient Rome, right? They're giving you bread. They're giving you a free show of the gladiators, fighting themselves to the death. They're giving you this, but what's the trade-off? Wow, our government cares so much about us. They give us bread that sedates us. They're giving us beer that sedates us, that renders us incapable of actually thinking and essentially making different decisions. So we basically see them as ruling over us. I'm not worried about a billionaire and oligarch. I'm not worried about any of that because I know that my world is constructed by my decisions, not by the next man, not even by the government. I voted for DJT. I voted for Donald Trump, and I'm happy with much of what he is doing. But I'm not dependent on that man of whether or not I'm going to succeed. Oh, man, I just got to wait for the economy. I'm not waiting on the economy. I got to become my own economy. I can't wait for a handout. I can't wait till the end of the month to have somebody give me some money. I got to create my own situations. Many people get paid once every 2 weeks or once a month or whatever it is. And it's like, if you want to get paid daily, you have to create your own system. You're either going to operate in somebody else's system or you're going to create your own. Simple as that. We got the kitty cat's going crazy over there. I guess the message is hidden in the spirit. What's going on, Zoe? She's over there going crazy with that sock. And my girl's been wondering why there's so many holes in these socks. I got to cover that little thing up right there. But the welfare system does not help the people it purports to be helping. And the sooner we can break free from that mentality, the sooner we can get to a place where we can actually move forward, where we can actually start building things, be productive. And any little check that you got from the government can be tripled, quadrupled, 10x to 100x if you give yourself fully to your potential, as opposed to making excuses of blaming everybody else for why you are where you are in life.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up. You know them constellations. Constantly gazing